I think the way in which that conversation was run for the last few years, I think as we've seen from the outcome, the fact that Medicare was such a prominent part of the election, I don't think it's been done particularly well. I also think government has actually achieved some amazing things, and our industry has developed probably a big chunk of that, and that hasn't been spoken about. I don't think we've spoken about it enough. I don't think government's spoken about it enough, but I really think that health can be a positive, good story. It could be a real political asset. I think that the goal for industry in the next 3 years is to begin to build the relationships and to begin to build the connections that will make a balanced conversation about health possible, and also one which honors and positions the contribution of medicines appropriately. I also think there are some very, very hard calls that the government is going to have to make in the next 3 years. The whole Medicare discussion that we've had over the last couple of months has been a very difficult one. But the fact of the matter is, we have an MBS that desperately needs reform. We have a pharmacy sector as well, which has gone through change and will continue to go through change. And I guess our industry, our individual companies and our industry representatives need to have the confidence to engage in these discussions and can't simply focus only on the very narrow policies that only affect medicines. Because the fact of the matter is, all of us are affected by all health policies. Pharmacy and the doctor lobbies and others have no issue talking about the PBS, but we often diminish ourselves by only speaking about those policies that have a narrow commercial impact on our products. We have to take bigger leadership. We have to be more courageous. The way you do it is you start talking at a public health level about consequences, at a public health level about how transformative having changes might be. So I think we have to tell these stories. We have to become much better, as you say, coming away from the product, coming away from the individual economics, and think about the consequence. Because if you don't talk about benefits, you don't think about consequences, it's just money. And money can slosh from one account to another account, and it doesn't actually mean anything. What MSD, other companies, Medicines Australia have to do to make a more constructive conversation about medicines happen is they have to start talking. They have to get out there. They have to speak to the media. They have to put their stories across. And initially, it's going to be pretty ugly. Chances are the stories won't land well, the messages won't land well, but a lot of this is simply a noise game. And the challenge that I have is the people who make the most noise about our industry are people who are fundamentally antagonistic towards us, have no understanding of the contribution we make, no understanding of the absolute basics of how the business works. Why do I work in industry? I think because I believe in what we do, fundamentally. My own organization, MSD, has an incredibly rich heritage going back to the production of penicillin. Many of the great breakthroughs in anti-infectives, in HIV, in oncology, in cardiovascular disease have been pioneered in my organization. And colleagues in other companies can talk to their own heritages, which are as rich and as powerful. The world needs companies like ours. The idea that somehow we're simply organizations that pull research out of universities and then deliver huge profits and that's all we do is complete nonsense. We know that without our organizations, many of the advances we have simply would not be there. You and I would be looking at life expectancy still at 65. You know, what is it that has contributed to the incredible longevity gains we've made in the last decades? It's our companies. Not only that, it's not only about living longer, it's living more successfully. No one else is doing this work. The Department of Health is not investing the billions of dollars that make this possible. Universities are not investing the billions of dollars that make this possible. No one else is taking the risks that make it possible. Government isn't doing it. We're doing it. And when we get it wrong, we pay the consequence. It can be horrific. And many of our companies have been through near-death experiences. We take those risks and we continue to be courageous in doing them because we believe in what we do and because the outcomes for patients and our community is profound. And so why do I do the job that I do? Because I think it's hugely meaningful and I can see the impact it has on individuals, on families, and on the community. And that's why I work for MSD.